Hello there, welcome back. It's time to start something a little bigger. And it's probably gonna be the last project I do in this space before moving to my new workshop, which I'm incredibly excited about. Thank you for joining me. I'm making a chest of drawers, my first ever. It'll be in the style of a classic machinist tool chest, and I'll use it to store small tools and bits and bobs in the workshop. This will be a short series, I think, and in this first part I'm making the carcass. I actually started milling the boards back in February, then got occupied with other stuff, hence the thicker clothing in these first few shots. The wood is beech. It's a very tough, close-grained timber that was traditionally used for Scandinavian workbenches and wooden planes, for example. I made everything flat and square and planed it down to 15mm thick. I also had some birch I could make the dividers and runners from. I resawed and planed a bunch of these to 8mm thick, and that's as far as I got before I had to put this build on hold for a while. So let's jump forwards a few months. The sun is above the horizon again, and I'm planning a rebate to make a frame and panel construction. And laying out a mortise and tenon joint. The horizontal components, the rails, get tenons, and the vertical ones, the stiles, get mortises. It'll be a haunched tenon on the upper rail with a haunch angled so it won't be visible when looking at the end grain of the stile. On the lower rail, the haunch can be straight, as it won't be seen even though it pokes through the end of the stile. Then, using the same settings on the marking gauge, I could lay out the mortise. I tried out a Paul Sellers style mortising jig here. It clamps to the side of the workpiece, and the 5mm I had written on it is in effect the distance between the mortise and the edge of the component. The jig makes it easier to hold the chisel straight, and it worked really well for me. Here I'm cutting out a space for the straight haunch. The angled one is made in the same way, only not lowering the saw into the end of the board. Here's a side-by-side of the difference when assembled. And then I could glue the frame together. I chose to chop out the rebates in the vertical components after assembly, because they would be stopped rebates and I wanted to know exactly where they would end. A rather convoluted way to do it, but it worked. Then I cut and planed the panels to size. I'm using plywood for convenience because it's just shop storage. It's important to have a lot of planes. So with that drying, I went back to the birch pieces. The dividers that'll go in between the drawer fronts got adjusted to identical length on the shooting board, and then I could form a little tenon on each end. I could measure out and cut a small stopped dado in each of the dividers where the central runners will attach. I had already cut the drawer fronts to size by now, so I could use the actual pieces to lay out the mortises for the dividers, but you'll see me prepare the front in the next episode. The drawer height, and therefore the spacing between the dividers, decrease by about 2 mm for each drawer. It's subtle enough that you can't really tell that the drawers get smaller in height, but I think it gives some visual balance, the looks right factor. That's what I'm hoping anyway. Now I could transfer the top 4 divider locations to a piece that will go in the back of the carcass and support the runners. The support piece will in turn attach to this lower stretcher, which I made from some old stained pine. The upper stretchers are beech and get dovetailed into the sides. Of course, a dovetail in the long grain is not very strong, and it was the result of the break in the middle of this project. You can actually see in the drawing in the beginning that I planned this to be a normal end grain dovetail, but I had forgot that when it came to building, and I didn't realize my mistake until way too late. Oh well. I made a vertical divider too to go in between the small drawers. Taking a measurement for the drawer runners. And assembly. This was ridiculously tricky to get together, but super satisfying. Then I just had to flush up all the joints and lightly round over the edges, and the carcass was complete. The next episode will be about the drawers and the lid. Hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.